Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are currently positioning ourselves for... where are we? This is going to be an exit velocity and then a circularization burn? Okay, yeah, that seems absolutely fine. So we're going to warp forward to that. As soon as we're in position for this burn, we're out of electric charge. Why are we out of electric charge? Our solar panels are extended, and we have energy flow. What? Hang on. Are we running into a bug here? We might be. Let's hold this here. Okay. No, we weren't actually running into a bug, I don't think. I think it's just that we're net negative when we're running our reaction wheels right now. Now, the question is, where are we actually attempting to go for this maneuver node, right? I haven't actually seen it on the nav ball. I'm just letting our electric charge fill up for now, and now let's put ourselves into heading over towards that maneuver node. Where is it? It's somewhere on the nav ball, in theory. In theory. Of course, Kerbal is down here and is going to be going away. It will cease to be, at least for us. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is where we're headed. Gotcha. That seems fine. We are, of course, already on an escape trajectory from Kerbal. We are out of here. So how much fuel do we have left in these side tanks? That's a question we should ask at this point. A decent amount. In terms of methane, we've got about 1 ton in each tank, a little bit over. So we've got a decent amount there. That seems okay. The question is, are we going to get through this burn? Probably not, would be my guess. But for the time being, let's warp to this maneuver. Goodbye, Kerbal. It's going to be quite a rapid warp. No doubt about that. There's a lot going on right now. We're out of communication range, which is expected. That's why we have pilots. Okay, so we're currently about 3 hours away. We have a lack of stellar exposure here, but we should see our solar panels turn, so that should be fine. And we don't need to do too much as far as holding attitude here goes. So no real problem there. We are about 3 hours away, but there's an experiment in progress here. Sure, that seems to have actually just finished. So no problem there. Let's warp forward a little further. Okay, we're now about 2 minutes away. Let's warp forward slightly further. Okay, so we're now about 30 seconds out from this burn. So what I want to do right now is I want to open up our resource manager, and this is a very, very large amount of screen real estate devoted to that. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of that one, but for now it's fine. Let's warp forward a little bit more. 15 seconds, 10, and 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay. So we are circularizing our burn at this point. That seems absolutely fine. This seems strange to me. Yeah, it definitely seems strange. The apoapsis is, well, this is a periapsis. We're at the apoapsis right now. Yeah, this is not an accurate indicator. That is noted for the moment. Okay, for right now, what we need to do is we need to ditch these tanks as soon as we are out of fuel in them. That's going to be a little bit. We actually have quite a lot of burn time here. Okay, noted. So this is going to be like a 6-minute burn. So let's warp forward a little bit faster. This is 4x. Let's bring this up to like 10x. Yeah. So we can keep an eye on this fuel. We're going to want to ditch these tanks. I just want to double check that this staging is correct. Yes, that should be correct. About 4.5 minutes here. Now about 4 minutes. I think we might just get through this burn or be very, very close to it when we run out of fuel in these side tanks. Okay. It's going to be close. We're not quite going to do it. Okay, let's bring this down to 1x time warp at this point. We've got 0.05 tons of methane left in these tanks. So we're going to be ditching these side tanks as soon as they are dry. The oxidizer is going to be the number that moves a little bit more frequently because oxidizer is significantly heavier than methane. But we'll just let that come on down. 0.05, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Those tanks are now dry, and we're ditching them. We do not need to carry that weight anymore. That does, of course, mean we lose the solar panels that are currently on them, and that's okay. That is absolutely fine. So now we're pulling fuel from here. So we have 1,000 delta V in this stage. That should be more than enough to circularize us and get ourselves to Duna. Looks good. So how are we doing on that circularization? We're actually very, very close here. Noted. About 40 more seconds left in this burn. Let's warp it forward a little bit. It's a low thrust to weight, which is fully expected. Okay, bring it back, and engine shutdown. This is good enough. So that'll be fine. Next, we want to set Duna as our target. So let's focus on Duna here. We're going to have to get zoomed in here to make sure that it's set as target. Okay, Duna is set as target. Now we need to find ourselves a transfer over to Duna. So, as a hypothetical, what would happen if we were to do a prograde burn somewhere around here? Yeah, that timing isn't great. I didn't figure it would be. So let's try moving this guy right on around and doing it a little bit more like over here. We may have to wait in orbit, though. Yeah, none of these are looking fantastic at this point. Yep, we're going to have to wait in orbit. That is fine. So we're then going to warp to here. It's going to be in a year and 132 days. No problem. So around we warp. That'll be fine. We just need to wait a little bit for a transfer window to open up. Obviously, we would have been better off to launch into the transfer window, right? But that requires, you know, like planning and thinking ahead. And that's not how KSP works at all. Okay, let's see what it would look like at this point if we were to bring this around. Okay, it's closer for sure. But we're going to need to bring this in over here. We may want to toss in a little bit of radial, but I'm wondering if we do something like this. Yeah, that's just going to be a timing change. What is this moving? I think it was moving the radial. Okay, let's do it around here. Actually, it was moving the normal, I think. Let's move it up to here, and we just want to grab the timing of this. So I want to change this. You have to hold that? Okay. Awkward. I guess it works. Yeah, right about here or so. And then a little bit more prograde. Gonna have to be slightly later. That's not an encounter? How is this not an encounter? That is so, so close. Maybe a little bit of radial burn here. That's an encounter. Okay, that should do. And this puts us in quite an inclination. But for the moment, this is fine. We just want to get... Well, we could actually adjust this. So we can move this to be about here and then bring this up to be at approximately a better inclination. And then maybe move it out a little bit to be a bit more like this. A little bit more minimal. So this will be fine. Something along the lines of that for our encounter. 568 meters per second. So we'll still have a fair amount of braking burn. That's good. Let's go ahead and align for that burn. And of course, that's going to be net negative on our electric charge for the time being. But let's just get ourselves into position here. Keep in mind, we do have RCS on here as well, if we need to utilize that. So that would be fine. But we're just going to position ourselves for this burn, which will be in about 35 days. Not too bad. Excellent. So we are positioned for the burn now. Let's warp on around. That is not 35 days. I guess it was 1 year and 35 days? Maybe I misread that. I suspect I misread that. This should still be pretty decent. Okay, so let's stay aligned here, and we've got about 3 hours. We'll warp forward a little bit. 2 minutes and 17 seconds. We'll warp forward again. And about 30 seconds. Excellent. 20 seconds. 10. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Okay. So we are burning here. This is going to be a fairly lengthy burn, which is expected. Our thrust to weight is very, very low. So let's warp through this burn a little bit, and we'll have a decent amount of leftover delta V for a braking burn once we get there, but we'll have to make some sacrifices on that front, most likely. We can definitely warp this a little faster. Going to 50x here. Okay, bringing it back down. Cool. So we're about 15 seconds from the end of this burn at this point. And what we really are interested in right now is, what is this looking like at Duna at this moment? So we need to go to the Duna sphere of influence. Okay. So this is our target burn right here. We've got about 4 seconds left on that burn. 3, 2, 1, mark. This is close enough. That should do. So we can see here we are fairly close to being at the correct inclination. It's not wildly off like it was before. So next we're going to want to come to the Duna periapsis. I really wish we could do changes in here. That would be nice. Things are just a little bit awkward right now. But let's just warp up to about here. And of course we're going to do our braking burn once we get in here. But we just want to enter the Duna sphere of influence for right now. So as of right now, that will be right up over here. That's in 6 days? Yes, that seems correct. So we'll continue to warp on in. We are at this point incredibly, incredibly close to getting into the Duna sphere of influence. Looks good. Next, of course, we're going to need to do a braking burn at this periapsis, but we'll be here for a good long time. That is still about 3 days away from us to get to this periapsis. So that's okay. Let's just warp forward a little bit until we enter the sphere of influence. Okay. We are now in the Duna sphere of influence, and we want to come to about here, create a maneuver plan, and I want to burn retrograde. This is not bad, actually. This is less delta V than I expected. Let's just circularize this for right now. Somewhere around here or so. That'll do. 273 meters per second is really, really not bad. I like it. So we're going to have a fair amount of maneuvering DV left. We'll be able to do an inclination change and probably part of our Ike Homan transfer. I don't hate that. That's really, really solid. I assume we are currently performing research. No, we're not. Okay, I have to click on that, I think, to get it started. But that's fine. Sounds absolutely great. So we're going to commence this burn, of course, in about 3 days. It's going to be a 2-minute, 55-second burn, and will capture us in Duna orbit. Which, of course, Duna is there, and that is Ike. They are very small at this moment. We're a long ways away from them. We're going to fall down a little bit. Excellent. So we're about 3 minutes away from this burn now, and we can warp forward a little bit further. 30 seconds, and let's just continue to bring this down. 20 seconds, and 10, and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Those don't feel like real seconds, I'll be honest. They feel a lot longer. But that's fine. This is going to be roughly a 3-minute burn here. It is going to burn the majority of our interplanetary transfer stage, but, I mean, it did its job. It transferred us interplanetarily. So that's fantastic. We're very happy about that. And we're just going to bring this right on down. So let's continue this burn. We're going to go up to, like, I don't know, 10x warp or so. And keeping an eye on our overall positioning in this burn. Let's take it up to 50x for right now. Okay, bringing it back down. Actually, there's still 40 seconds left in this burn. So let's bring it to about 10x. Okay. Now we're parked at 1x, and we can keep an eye on our overall positioning in this burn. 3, 2, 1... mark-ish. This is good enough. This is good enough. We don't need to go any further than that. So now we want to set Ike as our target, and we can see that we are 4 degrees off on our inclination. That is absolutely a-okay. This is going to cost very little delta V to change. So we want to go the other direction. 1.2. Oh, that overshot. Okay. Right about here is where we want to be. 5 meters per second. That's still going to be a 3-second burn. Okay, let's go ahead and align for that. That burn is going to be in about 41 days. Okay. Note that we're 10 years into this flight at this point. Bill, Jeb, and Valentina, I imagine they get along very well. That must be what's happening here, right? I'm pretty certain of that. So yeah, there's definitely been an increase in transfer times in KSP2. I think that's very clear. That's fine. We are going to align for this burn, and we're going to warp on forward. That's going to be in 41 days. So we are going to be changing our inclination here. There's Duna. Excellent. We're going to be changing our inclination here and matching the inclination of Ike, because that is, of course, our target here. So we're going to warp forward a little further. It put us at 21 minutes for some reason. Okay. Can we warp any further than this? No, we cannot. We'll manually warp it. 30 seconds. It got rid of our manual warp. Okay. 20 seconds. 10. And 3, 2, 1. Mark. Just doing this last little bit here. That should be good. How's that inclination looking? The answer is 0.0. I like it. So Ike is our target here, and we want to create a maneuver plan that is going to drop us down to Ike. So something like this. Note how little delta V that is. That's 31 delta V to do that. Of course, I'm not seeing an encounter here because this is our combined lander here. We're going to bring that down a little further, and this is actually Ike. So about 52 dV, not bad. Let's focus our camera on Duna. That'll make things a little bit easier here. And we're going to have to change our timing a little bit. Oh, that was a pretty decent encounter there. So this periapsis is 250 kilometers here. I'd like to drop it a little further than that. That's an impact trajectory. This is 50 kilometers. That's decent. So we're going to have to do a braking burn here, but that won't be too bad. Yeah, this is going to get us into a decent orbit of Ike. I like it. Let's get into position for that burn. That'll be in about 36 days. Excellent. And of course, the major reason why this has been such a long mission with the 10 years is because we had a bad transfer window, and we just kind of waited in space until the transfer window was better. So that's a thing. I mean, we could have forced the transfer window, but that's so much more DV. So much more. So we'll align for this burn, and I think we're aligned for it now. Let's warp on over. Yeah, that's a positive alignment. Looks good. Cool. So this is going to be about a 31-second burn. It's only 52 meters per second to do this. That's really not bad. But that's because we're so high up that our orbital velocity, like, this is over half of our orbital velocity that we have to shed off. But it's so low at this altitude that things are just tremendously efficient. So that seems good. We're about 40 seconds away from this burn. Now let's warp that on forward. 30 seconds. 20. 10. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those are not real seconds. That is definitely not a real second. It feels like it's at like half speed. I'm wondering why that is. This is going down at approximately a real second per second. I don't know what's going on with that. Very strange. Maybe there's a bug in it. Who knows? Regardless, we don't actually care about the maneuver. The only thing we care about is getting this actual periapsis where we want it, right? So that is reasonably fine. We've got about 15 seconds left in this burn. We're still dropping this periapsis on down. And it's going to be a decent amount of DV to get this brought into orbit. We may have to expend our interplanetary transfer stage in order to do that. We'll see. We'll see how that's going. 2, 1. Okay, so this is an impact trajectory here. We want to pull that out. This is about perfect. Yeah, that looks good. So next up, of course, we want to warp to just inside the Ike encounter. So we're going to do exactly that. We are very slowly here falling towards Duna, which should be directly beneath us, but the sun is kind of there right now. Here's Duna, and we're just bringing this right around. This is the beginning of our Ike encounter right here. As you can see, we're moving at 354.6 meters per second, and that is fine. We're not actually in our Ike encounter. We need to warp to here. Okay, now we're in our Ike encounter. So that looks good, and we are going to, at this periapsis, we're going to look to circularize this. So this will be a retrograde burn here. Excellent. So yes, this is going to require a little bit more DV than we have in our interplanetary transfer stage. That's fine. This is going to put us in a 50-kilometer and 40-kilometer orbit. That's good enough. We could change the timing on it to make it a little bit more circular. Something kind of like that. 47 and 43. It's close enough. It doesn't really matter. So let's align for that burn. That'll be in about 1 hour and 13 minutes. And that's looking very solid. It is clear at this point that we need to upgrade our electric charge if we're going to go too much further. We are currently positive, probably just due to our orientation. But yeah, I think it's very clear that we're going to need to make some changes to our electric charge. Cool. So 135 meters per second. We have 110 in this tank. So it's going to cost us a little bit in our landing stage to get this orbit circularized, but really this has been very good, all things considered. So we're going to warp forward here. This will be about 1 day of warping, and Ike is down here. There we go. Excellent. So here we are, about ready to do our circularization burn. We've got 30 seconds left. 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, mark. That felt a little faster, that countdown. I don't know. This seems very variable. Kind of strange. But of course, we are going to burn out our interplanetary transfer stage, but arguably, this did get us to orbit of Ike. It's not exactly the orbit we wanted it to get us to, but that's pretty good, all things considered. I mean, it's going to be another 50 seconds of burn time here, but we are going to have this gone. Yeah, we're definitely in orbit of Ike now. We've got about 70 meters per second left, which is about half of this DV. So this is really, really not bad. The interplanetary transfer stage absolutely performed better than the Duna attempt. No doubt about that. I say attempt. The successful Duna landing. So that all looks good. About 30 seconds left on this burn. Of course, we're going to have to separate this off and fire up these engines to finish it off. 25 seconds left. And about 33 meters per second left in this stage. This is, of course, going to be substantially higher thrust to weight. It's going to be 4x higher just from the thrust, and the weight is going to be lower as well. So that is absolutely going to be a thing. We've got about 15 meters per second left, though, in our interplanetary transfer stage, and we might as well utilize it. There's no reason not to. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Excellent. And that should be basically circularized. So yeah, we burned a tiny, tiny amount of fuel to get ourselves into this decent landing trajectory, to be honest. We can definitely do a good landing from here. We can see our orbital velocity is 324 meters per second, so that's not too bad. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we are going to be landing somewhere on Ike. Not here, but somewhere on Ike. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and actually, we should probably run these experiments. There we go. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.